Okay, hello. Welcome back again to the Pale Wizard YouTube channel. We're continuing our series of videos ranking the discographies of some of the biggest and best artists in the world of music. And today we are doing Iron Maiden. So what's happening here is we have listened to all 17 Iron Maiden studio albums. We have ranked them in order, individually, from best to worst. And then our scores have been compiled and sealed in these envelopes. So we don't know what's going to be number one. What do you think it's going to be, Dan?
No idea.
No idea? I don't.
It's going to be...
I don't with this one.
No, I don't know. No idea.
I've got a feeling this is going to be quite divisive.
Yeah, probably.
We have a tie to start with this one. So how it works is, if there is a tie, and the very first one is a tie, if there's a higher score, that would actually win out. If the scores are the same, then we have to open both at once and decide which is the better album. And considering it's the two weakest ones, this should be interesting. So
Okay.
I'll open 17, you open 16, and let's get going with the Iron Maiden.
And we can argue the toss.
The toss, indeed.
Okay, what's yours, Tim?
Because this is toss. Mine's the X Factor.
And this one's Fear of the Dark.
Okay, so yeah, I gave X Factor 1 point, and you gave it 2, and I'm guessing vice versa.
You gave Fear of the Dark 2.
Mm-hmm.
I gave it 1.
Okay, well, let's start with the X Factor then.
Yeah.
What worse a place to start than the X Factor? So this is from 1995, their 10th album, obviously. X Factor, Roman numeral. Produced by Steve Harris and Nigel Green, and the first album to feature the vocal stylings of the one and only Blaze Bayley, who does a pretty good job on the whole on this album. And that's the only positive thing I can probably really say about it.
I think, Blaze gets a bit of a hard rap.
He does, yeah, he does, because vocally he's solid on both the albums that he's on. Maybe this one more so than the other one.
Well, he's limited by the songs, isn't he?
He's a very safe pair of hands when it comes to a singer. Yeah, but he's massively brought down by the songwriting on both the albums. This one much more so than the other one, for me.
Yeah, because I think most of these songs were written for him, weren't they? And so
written to his strengths. I don't think because they didn't really know him as well. Maybe they didn't really know Blaze's strength as a singer, because his solo stuff is, especially after he left Maiden, is a lot stronger than. Than this particular album. Yeah,
because he's forced into their key, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
They didn't really do a good job of trying to work to his strengths, and just some of the songs are overly long and repetitive. He ends up singing the same thing over and over again, even if it's just like a oh all the time.
And there's a lot of that in Iron Maiden, as it is. But yeah, I agree. With the exception of "Man on the Edge,ch is
that should have been the opening song.
Yeah, it
because it has guts and it feels it's got a lot of vitality, that song.
Yeah.
I remember when this album was coming out, there was quite a lot of excitement. I remember they were running TV adverts for it, and I remember hearing "Man on the Edge," and I was like, "Oh yeah, Maiden."
Is it all going to be like this?
They seem to have got a bit of balls back about them, and
yeah, because obviously the last couple of Dickinson albums, they weren't all that either. Before Blaze joined.
This felt like it was a return to harder edge.
It could have been, really could have been, but they forgot to write any good songs for it.
I liked "Lord of the Flies" and "Man on the Edge."
"Man on the Edge" is that's the one for me that.
Is it "The Unbelievable"? It sounds like his voice is on the edge of what he can cope with, but it's good. But there's some real dull stuff on here, like "Fortunes of War," "Look for the Truth," "The Aftermath," "Judgment of Heaven."
Oh, "Blood on the World's Hands." And of course the first track, "Sign of the Cross." Now, Bruce has sung "Sign of the Cross" quite recently. We checked that out, didn't we? Didn't really much like that either, really, because
it's got the makings of a good song. They need a producer to trim that down, because
it's 11 minutes. It's the sign of things to come, for better or for worse, with Maiden, "Sign of the Cross," because it's 11 minutes.
But they try and do what they their version of prog rock in the middle, don't they? They try and go like Queen's White Dream Theatre, which kind of breaks down to like a kind of drum and bass. Diddle-a-dun, diddle-a-dun, diddle. It feels totally like it's just been shoehorned in, and then it doesn't go anywhere, and then they just come back in the sign of the cross. You know what I mean? It hasn't built up to anything. I feel bad for Blaze. I think he was.
Yeah, I do in a way.
He didn't have a chance, did he?
No, he didn't. He really didn't. And of course, both the albums are hugely maligned by the majority of the fan base, I think.
Okay. Well.
But I don't think this album is as such. You're here. Your one, Fear of the Dark.
Yes.
Most people tend to like that, and neither of us did.
Okay, so Martin Birch still involved. You gave us 2, I gave it 1.
Yeah.
I don't like this album because
you clearly don't like it. You at one point.
It's got some good. Be Quick or Be Dead. Is a decent Maiden tune, isn't it? Afraid to Shoot Strangers, I like as well.
Yeah, that's the best one on it.
Judas Be My Guide, I quite like. It's not brilliant. Fear of the Dark itself, the album version never really matched that live version, which was so popular. It obviously was a hit for them. It's obviously a good song, but it falls a bit flat in the studio version, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's nowhere near as good. It is a live sort of staple of their set, and it's that sort of electric feeling of the crowd filling in the vocals, and it's a song which works so well in the live environment, and the studio version is
no Adrian Smith either.
Yeah, of course. He'd left at this point, hadn't he? And yeah, it was Martin Birch's last production job for him, wasn't it, as well? So.
The Fugitive I really don't like. Chains of Misery I hate. The Apparition is dull, and it's possibly got the worst Maiden song ever in Weekend Warrior. It's just hideous.
Yeah, it's lyrically.
Oh, I don't know what Bruce
There's
is
been
thinking.
songs done about people that just live for the weekend and go out drinking and stuff and have a good time and live for that and just do the Monday to Friday grind just for the weekend at the end of it. But
not Maiden.
But not Iron Maiden and not
Maiden.
In this song. It's just bad.
Leave that to Motley Crue and those kind of tossy bands. Just.
But I will say the artwork is great for Fear of the Dark. Because obviously they've had some astonishingly brilliant artwork over the years, and then some pretty bad ones as well. But so we have to choose then between the X Factor.
I know I'm agreeing with myself, okay, but
right.
I'd give it to the X Factor just because it had a bit of balls about it, and it had.
You'd get the higher.
I'd give the higher mark to the X Factor.
I don't want to do that though.
I know you don't.
I don't think.
At least the X Factor doesn't have Weekend Warrior on it.
It doesn't, but there's nothing as good as Afraid to Shoot Strangers on the X Factor.
Man on the Edge is very good.
It is, but it's a bit. That chorus is a bit.
Lord of the Flies is good.
Go on then.
Yeah?
Yeah, just for controversy's sake more than anything. Go on then. Let's put
Fear of the Dark.
Yeah, let's put Fear of the Dark
17.
bottom. Yeah.
X Factor.
Because I don't like Fear of the Dark, but don't get me wrong, I strongly dislike it. So yeah, I'm quite happy to put that down there as well.
Fair enough. Okay, you've been a big man there.
Yeah, I have to make it clear, I really like Iron Maiden, but after listening to all of their albums over the last few weeks for this, they pissed me off somewhat. So
we'll talk about that. I'm sure. Okay, so in at 15
Yeah.
is The Final Frontier from 2010. Produced by Kevin Shirley, who's done most of their latest stuff. You gave us 3, I gave it 4, so quite a rough
same
consensus.
kind of thing, yeah. So this is the first of those albums which go on for sort of the length of
10
a feature
hours,
film.
11 hours, something like that.
The first one. So when Bruce came back in 2000, did Brave New World, they seemed to go on quite a good run, and then they went away for a few years again. And then they come back with this. The quality control seems to have lessened somewhat. I liked the track on here, El Dorado, which I presume was about that BBC soap opera from the 90s.
Yeah, fantastic.
Long-lived and much beloved.
You liked that one, did you?
What, that song?
Yeah.
I thought it was okay, because it was one of the shorter ones.
For me, they felt like they forgot to write the song. They came with the name.
I guess The Alchemist was kind of...
Yeah.
okay, because again, a shorter one.
Isle of Avalon.
Isle of Avalon, yeah. I did write that down as one of my favourites.
Epic.
Yeah, that's the only good long one on here.
The Talisman is alright.
Is it?
Well, all of it, to be fair, all of it's very...
It's excellently played.
Yeah, excellently played, competent.
Yeah, the sound is, the production of it is second to none.
The one that...
the artwork's good.
It is good. When the Wind Blows I liked, which I think is the last song.
When the Wild Wind Blows. When the Wind Blows is a nuclear holocaust film, isn't it? A cartoon thing from the 80s.
Isn't that sitcom from the Extras? Oh, that's When the Whistle Blows.
Both of those things are better than this.
Was that the last song?
It is the last song, yeah. It's 11 minutes long. Yeah.
I actually quite like that one because they actually go somewhere. Because Maiden have this thing of thinking they're being progressive by just repeating the choruses 3 or 4 times, but that actually does something different. There's a few songs though which take minutes and minutes just to do anything.
The first track especially, nothing happens in that for a while. I'm guessing, because there's Satellite 15, The Final Frontier, so I'm guessing that Satellite 15 is your kind of intro.
The Man Who Would Be King is just...
See, I'd never heard this album before, all the way through, before doing this.
Right.
And I'd never heard the 2 that came after it.
Right, yeah, well, I'm kind of similar. I had kind of given them a cursory background listen.
I think 2000. When was this? 2015. Or something?
Well, let's be honest. Me and you were a lot more fanatic about Maiden.
Yeah.
Going back 20 years.
Yeah.
We were very fanatic about them, and we were very kind of enthused around the Brave New World era. And
yeah, Dance to Death, and
I
think A Matter of Life and Death was the last one I was...
That's when I kind of just moved away. It wasn't
liked the album, but didn't sort of disengage with going to the shows and listening to the catalogue as much as I used to, I'm guessing.
When you grow up a little bit and you're not so like, heavy metal all the time, and you actually broaden your taste a little bit. I just kind of moved away from it a little bit. So this was good to kind of reconnect to a lot of the stuff. Bruce's voice, I thought, starts to sound a little strained on this album.
Annoying in some respects.
It's an ageing voice, obviously. It's still got a hell of a range. It's quite a dry vocal sound as well, isn't it? So there's not much in the way of presence and reverb.
Yeah, kind of like the Blaze stuff. In that respect, I suppose.
Which is quite a bold thing to do, because it's leaving that vocal really naked. I've actually got that similar to the Blaze albums here, actually.
Oh, you have written that down? I think that's the first thing we've agreed about for a while.
It's all very well performed, just nothing really grabs me, that's all.
Yeah, I think it's the weakest of those 3 new ones, without a doubt. I think that's the general consensus as well from what I've read with Maiden fans.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I mean, we'll see if the other ones come in. I've got a feeling they might come around here as well, but we'll see. So number 14 then. Yeah, Book of Souls from 2015. So yeah, I gave this 4, you gave this 5 for 9 points. It's another Kevin Shirley.
I'm amazed me and you are agreeing so much.
Well, I'm thinking we're agreeing now. Whether we agree later on is another
So I've got
thing.
Better Than Final Frontier.
Yeah.
Way too long.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
This
is
long.
92 minutes long.
So long, this album.
92 minutes long. You could watch a lot of films in that time and be more entertained. The Red and the Black.
It's great. That's great.
That's a great song.
That really thumps along,
good.
that one.
Yeah.
That's got loads of
And considering
grit.
it's a massively long one as well,
It's one of the few.
it's one of those examples of Iron Maiden doing progressive music in an interesting way rather
Without
than
it getting
a repetitive way.
Yeah.
But if you contrast that to the last track on the album, which is, I think it's about 6 or 7 hours long, Empire of the Clouds, 18 minutes long. What were they thinking there? I think the difference here, I think we talked about this before, didn't we? If Martin Birch was still involved, rather than this Kevin Shirley chap, who was a very good producer, but I don't think that they would have got away with making these songs of these length during the Birch era.
No, I don't. Well, it's hard to tell, isn't it?
I don't think they would have done. I mean, this is a double album, obviously. It's
The Great Unknown. It's just a long, quiet intro, and then getting bored now, and then it kicks in. The title track drags. When the River Runs Deep.
Mm-hmm.
That's relatively short and snappy at 6 minutes, and it's good. But yeah, I haven't got much to say about Book of Souls. I just think it needs to be trimmed the hell down.
Even as a double album, 90 minutes is it's too bloody long.
It is, yeah.
Isn't it?
It's
It's far too much. The quality control seems to have.
Again, it's all really well performed, and there's some great riffs, and
and the production's good.
The drums are great.
Yeah, and the artwork is.
Yeah, the production is good actually. The drums sound decent on that.
I'm not a big fan of the kind of tribal looking Eddie they have on the front of it.
No,
it's a bit.
Okay, so alright. Moving on. 13 is Virtual 11.
Oh really? Oh, okay.
So you gave this 7.
Yeah.
I gave this 3. So Steve Harris pretty much did this, didn't he? And Nigel Green.
Yeah, Nigel Green did both the
1998.
Both the Blaze ones.
So 3 years after X Factor.
Yeah.
The album cover list is pretty decent. Actually.
Yeah, it's not bad, is it?
Now, what drags this album up from the likes of X Factor is
it's the
Klansman, which is brilliant, and I love Blaze's version.
I'd go as far as to say the Klansman is the best Iron Maiden song in my eyes.
Yeah.
Because it probably is, isn't it? Really? Because Brave New World came out in 2000. So you're only really going up against the other Blaze album and No Prayer.
You're probably right.
Fear of the Dark.
You're probably right.
The best Maiden song of the 90s. And Future Real is great.
Yes.
And that's an ideal. They got it right with Virtual 11. What they did wrong with the previous album is they actually started it with a snappy, short single with a great hook. The controversial one on this one, of course, is The Angel and the Gambler.
Oh.
Which I know you really hate.
Don't you think I'm a saviour? Don't you think I could save you? Don't you think I could save... Times that by 15.
I think he says that chorus about at least 35 times or something in that song.
God.
Incredible.
And the video.
Repetition.
The video, I remember at the time they were saying, the technology used in this video was akin to that of launching the latest NASA space shuttle.
I think The Angel and the Gambler will be a very good video because graphically the images from the game and other things that we've come up with are going to make it different to a lot of the other videos that are out there. The technology that they're using for this doesn't exist anywhere else. It's totally new, and there is more processing power and more ability in the technology to move around shapes and things like that than there was used on the Jurassic Park movie.
Right.
Like who the fuck have you been talking to?
Didn't they cut that in half, that song as well, when they released it?
Oh
they
yeah,
released it in 2 parts.
To be fair, the single version is a lot better because it's much shorter. So I remember when that came out, I liked it, but then again, I liked anything with computer graphics.
Yeah.
Because we were all sucked in by that crap, weren't we?
You're like Nightmare.
And this is the era of the albums where they were putting CD-ROM multimedia extras on the CD. So you have a real crap version of the video which you could load up in Windows 95.
Watching your little MPEG player, the size of a resolution of about 6x7 dots. Yeah, it was interesting times.
Great times.
But now, the reason I put this so high, obviously,
that is quite high, Tim.
It's not massively high, is it? But it's higher than the newer stuff, and it's higher than Fear the Dark, and something else we'll come to in a minute. Is because of the Klansman, because of Future Real, and because I've actually sort of become quite fond of the Angel and the Gambler. Because I find it funny. I find it funny how long that chorus goes on for at the end. I find it funny that it's 9 minutes and at least 6 minutes of that is just those 3 lines repeated over and over, and that entertains me. It entertains me more than a 90-minute long album full of songs which are all brilliantly played but have no soul and are pretty boring. I just find it more entertaining. I get that comedy value out of it.
By the way, when did you first become aware of Iron Maiden?
So, for me, I used to buy Iron Maiden t-shirts in the market, which used to come in Bath City Football Ground.
Yeah.
Every Thursday. So there would be a big stall with all these like bootleg band t-shirts.
Oh, okay.
And Iron Maiden were like, they'd have literally
the best t-shirts.
30 of them every week. T-shirts. They made the best t-shirts.
Yeah.
I had no clue who that band was at that time. I would have been, 10 years old, I'm guessing. Getting my pocket money, and I'd go down there and I'd buy Iron Maiden t-shirts, white ones sometimes. I had no fashion sense whatsoever, but I was buying because they had they had Eddie on, they had the Monster, they had a Zombie, and I was into horror films, and that's really what grabbed my attention. So I probably didn't really listen to the music until late 80s, I would say. Probably around 7th Son, I'm guessing.
You see, I didn't really get into Maiden until Blaze was in the band. It was a friend of mine called Christopher Norris.
Yeah.
Would bring tapes and CDs into school. We'd always get into school like about 40 minutes early, so we could listen to each other's Walkmans. Mm-hmm. So I'd make a tape for him to listen to, whether that be Meatloaf or Alice Cooper or Sex Pistols or something. Yeah. And he would normally bring in.
So he'd bring in more sort of metally stuff.
Yeah, and so it was around the time that X Factor came out and stuff, and
so you skipped the whole Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter.
Well, obviously I got into it then.
Yeah.
But my first encounter was Blaze, actually.
Okay.
So I remember he had a VHS, like a live video of the Blaze era. I think it was in Southern America, the concert. Mm-hmm. And I remember watching them do Angel and the Gambler, and I remember distinctly hating it. Is
this long story just to have a go at that song again? That's really out of order.
as a 12-year-old, thinking that's crap.
Thinking, don't you think I'm a saviour?
I didn't get it. I didn't understand why you have to repeat that lyric so many times.
But you know that lyric now, don't you? It's in your head.
But then I remember them playing a lot of songs I was kind of familiar with,
mm-hmm.
to an extent, but thinking that doesn't sound right, because obviously they were getting him to sing Bruce's songs. And
yeah.
Were they down tuning for him, or not?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was a case of kids at school having the tapes, and I'm guessing it would have been the late 80s. But I was very, very aware of the number one, Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter. I knew who they were, and I thought this isn't a very good song for them to be charting so high with. But yeah, we'll get onto that when we get onto that album. So Virtual 11, yeah, I'm guessing that's a fair representation of where it lies with the rest of the catalogue.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a slow album. Most of it's kind of the pace is down, the tempo's down.
Yeah.
So it has some great highlights. To be fair, Klansman on its own will bring the album up.
Yeah, that's for me. I've always found that because lots of people do rate the other one higher than this one. X Factor, and
I think the production's better on X Factor.
It is, yeah, it is. The songs, the song, The Klansman. Come on.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Number 12. Okay, so this is the new one. Last year.
Okay.
Senjutsu. So the 17th, as at current time of filming.
So what did you give
final
this?
Album. I gave this one 5 points. You gave it 6 points.
Okay.
So similar again.
Yep.
So this is another Kevin Shirley job. And this album comes in at 4 minutes shorter than the previous one at 1 hour.
It's too long.
28 minutes. Yeah, that's a long time.
It's too long.
A long
It's more.
time.
I was thinking, listening to this properly. It's more of a hard rock album than a metal album, this, isn't it?
Yeah, or more of a sort of progressive hard rock album, I guess.
It kind of works actually, because
you
know it's nice to hear them aging in a graceful way.
Mm-hmm.
Strategio, I really liked. It's a strong song.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that single they did, The Writing on the Wall.
Writing on the Wall, yeah, that's good.
Quite bluesy, isn't it? Kind of.
Quite a weird kind of anime kind of video.
Yeah, quite a cool video that.
Yeah.
Dickinson's voice is mixed a bit odd on this album. Is it a bit low for you?
On my headphones, it sounded a little bit distant in places.
Yeah.
It's been one of the tracks I quite like, Death of the Celts.
Mm.
Yeah, he sounded a little absent on it in place. I don't know if that's intention.
And for me, that song it sounds like he's just reciting a novel.
That song.
Yeah, Death of the Celts.
Yeah.
It feels like he's just kind of like.
Well, again, there's a concept here, isn't there? And
sometimes they do stray into the territory of just kind of almost just listing points of history rather than being poetic and.
Mm-hmm. But that's something they've done throughout their career. This is not new.
No, I know, but they've done it better. His voice is different. It's I quite like it the way his voice is aging. It sounds.
I prefer him on this than the previous two.
Final Frontier.
Final Frontier especially is quite. It's a bit more sort of. It's less of a foghorn.
Yeah, there was something not quite right about his performance on Final Frontier.
It's almost like I know he was ill, wasn't he, around that time? So
yeah, I mean, bless him, he had cancer, didn't he? Throat cancer.
Yeah, he did. So
Days of Future Past feels like his voice is just about to go, but he keeps it going, and it's great. Darkest Hour has quite an emotional and weighty.
So that's the one that's based on Churchill.
Oh, is it?
Darkest Hour.
Right.
Yeah. So it's kind of trying to address the darker side of Churchill. And
right.
All of his indiscretions after they've spent songs in the past bigging him up.
Right.
They've sort of turned the critical eye on him, which is quite interesting.
It's interesting
to hear them.
It feels like quite an emotional song.
Yeah.
Parchments I really liked. That's quite hypnotic, and it does. Even that's 12 minutes long. I didn't tire of that one. There's a few though. That Lost in a Lost World.
Yeah, I was lost in that song.
The Time Machine.
Mm-hmm.
Death of the Celts.
I like that one.
And Hell on Earth. It's nice enough, but it just takes way too long to get started.
Yeah, that's the last one, isn't it? Yeah.
Just get on with it.
When that came on, Hell on Earth, I was quite pleased because it was the last song, and you don't want that. You don't.
No.
You, with an album, you don't want one more song and it's done.
Felt like a workout. It
So,
felt like a mental
but
workout.
it's better than the previous two. It was my main criticism of the previous two is that they didn't have the songs. This has got a couple of belters on it, really.
To be fair to Maiden, to be putting out an album like that, what?
And it was critically acclaimed, I think. They got the plaudits for
45 years or so after their day. That's amazing, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fair play. But yeah, it's got to be said, it needs to be trimmed.
You could make, if you take, a couple of songs off of each of those long last three albums.
You could do a best of.
You could make a best of modern Maiden.
I have to say, my favourite modern Iron Maiden album is the best of Iron Maiden.
You could do Best of the Beast 2.
I think I'd have to say the best of the Beatles.
The prog years.
Yeah,
and you could have just a few of these songs.
It'd still be a full CD set though, wouldn't it?
Well, no, because you just have maybe two from each, maybe three from Senjutsu and two from the other ones. Probably still be an hour.
Yeah.
But you could cut it down. And that would be more listenable. But
don't give them the idea because they'll do that.
Oh God, yeah.
So at 11 is No Prayer for the Dying, 1990, the 8th album.
Yeah.
Produced by Martin Birch. You gave it 6, I gave it 7.
Yeah. Again, very similar. These are remarkably similar so far.
I'm impressed so far. I'm impressed with your taste.
This is right though. That's why this is correct. This is a good album.
Yeah, fair play. It's actually got some good songs on this.
It's got some crap on it as well.
Yeah.
But it's got Tail Gunner and Hurley Smoke, which are both stonking songs.
Bring Your Daughter is obviously what it is.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a Dickinson song.
It was supposed to be a Dickinson song, and Steve Harris was quite jealous of it, wasn't he? And decided that it should go on this album. And
so it was supposed to be on Tattooed Millionaire.
It was that one, wasn't it? Yeah.
So the interesting thing about Tattooed Millionaire, I think that came from some sessions they were writing some music for. Was it a Nightmare on Elm Street film?
Yeah, it's 4 or 5.
Right.
I think it might be 5.
So the interesting thing
Around
there
that time,
is
yeah.
that the guitarist he was working with was Janick Gers.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay. So that's where.
So that's quite interesting.
That's where he comes from.
So Janick Gers worked with Dickinson. Like you said, those songs aside, the actual title track I don't like. Public Enema Number
I hate
1
that.
is utter shite.
Yeah, I hate that song.
Utter shite. It's up there with Weekend Warrior.
Yeah.
Fate's Warning, The Assassin, and I know a lot of fans really rate it, but I don't like Mother Russia.
Well, I don't dislike it. It's okay. I quite like Hooks and You. But yeah, I'm not a fan of Bring Your Daughter. I really don't like it. Mother Russia is okay.
Dickinson's
contributions with the songwriting is very hit and miss.
his vocals are just too much. The histrionics on this, it's someone needed to tell him to wind it back a bit, I think.
Yeah, I preferred Blaze's vocals from the 90s.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Bruce. And that's saying something, isn't it, for Iron Maiden? That's really saying something.
Again, it feels like he's trying to fit too many lyrics into each song. There's no poetry there. There's no.
Yeah, so this was the first sort of sign, I think, of a bit of a wobble on the tracks.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because those first 7 albums.
However, I mean, it's got to be said, Tailgunner, holy smoke, wicked songs.
So you think, yeah, you start listening to it. So you go out and buy this in 1990, and you put the album, and you think, yeah, they've still got it. You know, there's a couple of years after Seventh Son, they've still got it. This is great. And then Public Enema Number 1 comes on, and you think, oh, what's this? And it doesn't really get much better after that.
That's a low point in their career for me.
Side. Yeah, it's the first sign for me that all isn't always going to be well in the Iron Maiden camp.
Yeah.
But yeah, not a bad album.
So when did Adrian Smith leave?
So he departed in '89.
So after Seventh Son.
After Seventh Son, yeah.
Yeah. So this was the first one with Janick Gers.
The first one with Janick Gers,
which makes sense because obviously he. Yeah. So.
Yeah, we were right.
We know what we're talking about sometimes, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I'm guessing missing Adrian Smith was another big factor.
Well, talking about Janick Gers, what's your feelings on Janick Gers?
He
seems to be unfairly maligned.
I think he's a very competent and he seems like a nice bloke.
The problem,
his guitar playing is doesn't really stand out, does it, when you compare it to Adrian Smith?
I don't think it's so much that. I just think that he came in at a time where the music was just of a lesser quality.
Well, he's never really been involved in the songwriting as such, is he? So you can't really blame him for the songs.
No, exactly. So he came in.
What he does well. I don't think there was a lot being asked of him when he came in here.
Adrian Smith left at a good time, didn't he? Because he left when that particular brand of heavy metal was dropping off a cliff.
Yeah, obviously.
Other brands of more extreme or more edgy and more modern metal coming in. Janick Gers came in, and then the Iron Maiden was suddenly seen as dinosaurs, and so maybe that's what's kind of tainted Janick Gers'. I don't know.
Yeah, very possibly. It'd be interesting to.
Feels like he's had quite a bit of flack unfairly to me over the years.
Okay.
But the problem with Janick Gers is because he's still in the band now, which is fine. But obviously, it means they've got to do 3 solos in every song now, because Adrian Smith came back and then. So you've got 3 lead guitarists.
Hence the reason why the albums now have songs which are 18 minutes long.
I wonder if there is like some kind of secret rule that everyone has to have at least so many minutes.
I mean, it's great when you watch them live, when you've got those, you've got an extra guitar player running around on stage and an extra solo.
Yeah.
It adds that dimension to it, but on record,
you
don't really appreciate it. It's only the hardcore Iron Maiden fans that can distinguish which solo is being played by who. I think I wouldn't know. Would you?
No. No.
Anyway,
it was always Adrian Smith for me.
He's the guy, isn't he?
Adrian Smith's the one who's I can always hear him. He has a swagger about his play, and his songwriting has always been quite good as well. I always seem to gravitate towards his songs. Yeah.
So the top 10 is going to consist of the first 7 albums, and then Brave New World, Dance of Death, and No Prayer.
Matter of Life and Death. Yeah.
Which is what I thought.
Okay, well that's good.
So, okay, so far so good. Let's go into the top 10 and see which one we think is the lowest of those.
So in at 10.
In at 10, Dance of Death from 2003. I gave this 8 and you gave this 9 for 17. These are all...
I'm amazed,
These
Tim.
are all remarkably similar scores.
This one sounded better to me
Yeah, me too.
than I remember.
Me too. I was expecting, because this one... Didn't we buy this on the way to...
Tenby,
Was it Tenby? Was it when we were going on holiday one year?
with our ex-girlfriends at the time.
Yes.
We actually...
We stopped off at the shop, didn't we? To
It
pick
came
it up
out came
on the
out
way.
that day. It was
Yeah.
release day, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. So it would have been...
Was it?
Would have been a Monday then, wouldn't it? 'Cause
what
it
year
just
was this?
come out on
Sorry,
Monday.
2003?
2003.
Was I
Yeah.
working with you, or was I working at HMV?
I can't remember.
We were working in a record shop at the time, I think.
Yeah, we both were, but I can't remember if we were working
were-
in the same one.
At one point, we were working in the same
Yeah,
one.
but we picked it up from the one I was working in.
Did we?
NBC. Yeah, we did.
So we
I
stopped off.
remember we
Stopped off.
stopped off with all the suitcases in the car, and one of us ran in and picked it up,
Had to get the new Iron Maiden
running
amp,
in,
and so we could listen to it.
Put it in a CD
in your
player.
Maestro Turbo on the way
Yeah.
up to Tenby.
and then Wildest Dreams comes on, and we all sort of thought, okay.
Listening back, I quite like it.
Yeah. I think, especially the top half of it is
Yeah.
it's great.
I wasn't that keen at the time, but
No.
now
I think
it's
we were
it's that
expecting
bloody
something a bit different.
it's that bloody artwork.
It's the worst artwork on any album of this kind of music.
It's up there. It's really up.
It's apparently it's a digital mock-up, which the artist presented to the band, and they said, "Yes, we'll use that." And he was like, "No, that's a digital mock-up." And they said, "No, we'll use that."
Oh, that's
so
awful.
he said, "Well, don't put my name on it." Then.
Really?
Yeah. So he's the artist associated with it.
It's got nothing to do with the original Maiden artist, then.
I don't think so. It's crap, isn't it? It looks like
That's awful.
it looks like a game that you'd buy on your PC CD-ROM in like 1995. That would like
It looks like a game that,
Yeah, you have to
that
install it.
came free on the cover disc of PC Monthly.
yeah.
And you used to get do you remember those CDs you used to get on the front of those? It used to have like 200
Yep.
games on it, and it's all
Yeah,
crap.
it
Well, none of it
works, yeah.
worked.
Yeah, that's exactly what it would look like, and that would be the screen that comes up
Yeah.
as it's loading.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when you actually get to play it, it'll be a really shit like 3D shooting game called like Dance of Death. That's exactly what it looks like. It's bad,
Yeah.
but it's not representative of the music on it. I think the
What were they
music
thinking?
is good. Also, what were they thinking in the actual song Dance of Death? Will they break into the Birdie song?
That's just because I remember when we were driving to Tenby, we were going
Because it literally sounds like that, doesn't it? And once you get that in your head, I mean, most people watching this probably would never associate those two things.
Oh, that's always
But
in my
now,
head.
every time you hear Dance of Death, you'll think of the Birdie song by the Tweets, which, it's not the usual association.
that holiday was shit.
It was terrible,
In
wasn't
a
it?
caravan in Tenby. Didn't we take your PlayStation?
I can't remember. We must have took something
Because they
like
said
that.
there wasn't a TV, but we
Yeah.
found a TV in the wardrobe.
Yeah.
All I remember that holiday was playing FIFA on this shitty little TV
Yeah.
with Iron Maiden's Dance of Death on in the background.
I'm playing bingo in the
Yeah,
and
and our girlfriends at the time getting really pissed off with what a shit holiday it was.
and
it was-
demanding that we won those little toys. out of
we
those
just
grab
spent about
machines.
£100
Yeah.
on some shit.
Just
It
an
was
interesting time
What
of our youth.
the
But
worst
you're right.
holiday in the
Looking
world.
back on it, a bad holiday, but a good album. And
No, well, so
Rainmaker
I like
is
Rainmaker.
brilliant.
No More Lies. I never used to
Yeah.
like. I like it
Yeah,
now,
I like it.
but it's too long. Passchendaele, good.
That was great.
Journeyman, I really liked.
Mhm.
Now, yeah, Dance of Death, don't like. And Gates of Tomorrow and New Frontier. It's actually, listening back, the songwriting is more inventive than it is on Brave New World. And yeah, it got quite a naked vocal sound on Bruce's voice. His voice is good. It's a decent album.
It is. It is.
Good thing is all the albums from here on are good albums.
They
so.
are.
Well, so let's crack
We got
on.
the right ones in the top 10. I'm glad to say. Whether we got them in the right order remains to be seen, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, there's... Alright.
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay, Brave New World. So this comes in at number 9.
Okay.
Produced by Kevin Shirley. I gave this 8, you gave this 11. Not a massive discrepancy, Tim.
No. But I like this more than you.
Oh yeah, I've changed my tune a little bit.
This was my 7th album in my list, so it comes in above one of the top 7.
Okay.
Which one we will find out. But yeah,
Return of Bruce Dickinson.
The return of
and Adrian Smith.
They kind of both came back and saved the band, didn't they? I think in many ways, I think you're right that it probably at the time it's better that it holds up now in many respects.
It's a good album. It's
but
just,
it's great.
I just think it's top heavy. The last half of the album does start to drag a little bit.
There's the cut of the track. I Hate the Silent Planet at the end is really, really good.
That is good. Yeah.
But yeah, the last track, Thin Line Between Love and Hate, seems to go on a bit, and so does Nomad.
I quite like the Thin Line Between Love and Hate. I love the vocal on it.
Yeah, the
which follows that guitar line. That's an incredible vocal.
But you're right. Yeah, those sort of first 5.
The Mercenary,
6
Dream of
songs.
Mirrors, Fallen Angel, and The Nomad.
Right, those are the ones you don't like.
So I don't dislike them.
You like less.
Yeah, I like less. That's the more diplomatic way of saying it.
The first 4 songs are
Yeah.
some of the best songs they've ever done.
Ghost of the Navigator, Wicker Man, the title track, Blood Brothers. Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
Really good. And they were so good live, weren't they, around that time?
They were, they were.
Was such a good time.
They were
to
on
see
fire
them.
because they were rejuvenated, weren't they, having those 2 guys back in the band?
Yeah, and Dickinson, he was obviously feeling rejuvenated because he'd gone off and done his solo stuff, which was very good, by the way. I'm a big fan of his solo material. I really liked his stuff in the 90s. I even liked the Skunkworks album, which a lot of people really don't like.
Spring coiled up inside. Welcome to your future. Welcome to your book of lies. Fingers crawl through pages. Nothing changes. Living here. Inertia. No wish to move at all. Inertia. Everything's a stone.
I like the last album quite a lot, The Tyranny of Souls.
That was great.
The last one he did.
Accident of Birth, Chemical Wedding. That's got some great songs on that album. That was what Maiden should have been. I remember when Chemical Wedding came out, I remember thinking, why are Maiden not doing this? Because
when you think that Steve Harris was upset and annoyed that he couldn't have Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter at first, why would you want that when there's Tears of a Dragon? And,
Tears of a Dragon.
The water is moving. I'm slipping away. I've rolled ourselves into the sea. Release the wave, let it wash over me.
What the hell are you thinking, Steve?
Sad Millionaire is a little bit... It's a bit American sound. It's a bit like Weekend Warrior, but
it's
Tears of a Dragon, what a song!
Tears of a Dragon's incredible.
Yeah, and obviously,
that's his.
What was Balls to Picasso? That other album. Accident of Birth. But again, the Skunkworks album. He was actually trying something a bit different, and it works for his voice. He had a real epic voice, and that's what he brought back to the band. That kind of epicness.
Yeah, it kind of the vocal on this is a world apart from the vocal on Fear of the Dark.
Yeah. It's more restrained, isn't it?
Yeah. It's much less booming, and it's more refined. It's the Bruce Dickinson of the sort of early 80s on here. He then goes back into that kind of booming voice later on, I think, in the 2000s run. But this, he's firing on all cylinders, and I think you're right. It comes from his learned experience in the 90s on his own with his solo albums. So that was about right.
So The Enemy were particularly scathing about this, which was great because I hate The Enemy. So They pretty much just said that this was, you know, a bunch of dinosaurs who should just give up. This is the same enemy that tried to tell us that Andrew WK was trying to save the world from rock. And
I don't imagine in 2000 they were probably saying that Gay Dad were the band to listen out for.
that's what they said.
They did,
that's exactly what they said.
Yeah. Where are they now?
I remember going to watch them at
Gay Dad?
Glastonbury. Yeah, they got a slot at Glastonbury. They were the worst band I've ever seen.
Yeah, I didn't read The Enemy.
I read The Enemy out of some kind of morbid curiosity, because I worked with a lot of people who were very swayed by what they said.
Suede, what, the band?
I liked Suede.
Suede were good.
They were a good band.
They were good. But yeah, The Enemy. I didn't really read Kerrang that much around the time. I used to always buy Black Echoes weekly around this kind of time.
Black Echoes? What's
It's
that?
it's a black music weekly magazine.
Oh, right,
So
sorry.
they used to feature a lot of the sort of reggae I used to listen to. Around
Yeah,
that
sure.
time. But I used to dabble with Kerrang every now and again. But I find it a bit childish. And then NME was just full of pretentious. Twaddle.
Kerrang was always, after the kind of mid-90s, just turned into a kids mag.
Yeah, as a comic.
Metal Hammer was kind of readable. Roxanne magazine came out around this time, so that was
yeah,
quite
it
good.
did. Yeah.
That
was a bit different, wasn't it, Roxanne magazine?
I used to get those. I used to get the imported magazines in our local news agents. I used to get Raw.
Yeah.
And was it Burn? Was it Burn? Something like that.
Don't know that one.
I think it might have been a German metal magazine, but they were.
Was it all in German then?
No, it was in English, but they were actually really good. You know, because they told you about the music you wanted to hear about.
Yeah.
Without being condescending about it. With like the Kerrang were so, well, still are. Is Kerrang still going?
I presume so.
It's a kids pop mag now, isn't it? And they've always been concerned about what's hip, rather than kind of being about metal. I mean, it's not a metal
I don't
magazine.
really think that Iron Maiden is within Enemy's wheelhouse, and it's not something they should really be reviewing in the same.
Well,
respect
exactly. That was my point.
Why would Kerrang review a Blur album?
Yeah, exactly. But that was my point. The Enemy would review these albums out of spite, and you could hear the vitriol coming out of the words. It was just disgusting. I hated the whole thing that surrounded The Enemy and Melody Maker.
A lot of it was
and all.
very negative, and like Q Magazine, which is all just the most kind
up
of
their own
generic.
arse.
Here's the latest
Select
Breaks
magazine,
album
wasn't it?
Kind of thing.
Select and Q.
Yeah, all,
Up their
all
arse.
very, very, very pointless.
I used to read it thinking that, and I used to say to myself, "Up your arse, up your arse." Just reading all this stuff. God, fucking journalists, the scum of the earth.
Scum. Subhuman scum.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
I think we're on about Iron Maiden.
Brave New World.
Brave New World, yeah.
Good album.
I think we've polished it off. I think
Good album, top heavy,
yeah.
but very good.
Yeah, okay.
You next.
Me next. Matter of Life and Death from 2006.
I gave this.
You gave it 12 and I gave it 9, so it gets 21 points in total. This was a Kevin Shirley job as well, as like most of these albums are from this period. But it's really good.
Yeah,
and
this
I wasn't
is,
expecting this to be as good as this was when
I think I spoke to you about this. I liked this when it came out, but then I just kind of forgot about it.
See, I bought the CD, obviously. This is the last one I bought.
Yeah.
And I remember going to some festival somewhere and having it in the car, and then coming back from that festival, and the CD wasn't in it, like a CD in a cardboard slipcase. I went to listen to it one time, and the CD was gone. So I didn't listen to it for years and years because I didn't have it anymore. So I probably hadn't listened to it since like 2007, 2008, maybe. And then coming back to it now, it's really good, and it's better than I remembered it being. Because at the time, I think that I probably preferred Dance of Death majorly, but now it's not much in it. They're both good albums, and this one, These Colours Don't Run, is what a tune that is. And then Brighter Than a Thousand Suns, I really like. And the Reincarnation of Benjamin Bree was brilliant.
That's a highlight.
Yeah.
Why should these curses be laid upon me? I won't be forgiven till I can break free.
Different World, Colours Don't Run. Again, I've pretty much listed all the songs you've just listed, actually.
Yeah. Crisis, we're just got the same opinion here. This never happens.
For the Greater Good of God, great vocals on that.
Yeah.
Dickinson's voice is like a fine wine on this one. He's lost a little bit of range and clarity, which comes with age, because your larynx gets fat, and so you find it hard to get the kind of brightness out of the voice. But it's got loads of vitality, and Yeah, this album sounds like he's taken influence from his own solo material.
Yeah.
For the better.
Mm-hmm.
It's generally a bit slower, but very crunchy, and it's a really good album. And this is much better than I remember it being.
Yeah.
So I was really happy to go back and listen to this album.
What is with this? All this agreement. This is just weird.
I think we're going to come to blows soon, though.
Yeah, that's where we are. Yeah.
So let's move on to number 7.
So the top 7 is the top 7. The first 7.
Yeah,
what order are they going to
This
be
is
in?
what's going to cause arguments, I think. So in at number 7. Now this is going to piss people off. The Number of the Beast.
Okay.
From 1982, their third album, the first with Bruce Dickinson. You gave this 13.
Mm-hmm.
I gave this 10.
Yeah. So where is this on mine? So 5th for me. Out of the
Yeah.
Out of those, so you're a bit further down for you.
Yeah.
What are you thinking there? I know you've said about this album before.
Other than the obvious great tracks, 22 Acacia Avenue, the title track, Run to the Hills, and Hallowed Be Thy Name, which is possibly one of the best Maiden songs ever.
Yeah, it's in the top.
It's
10, isn't
it's fantastic, and obviously it is one of my favourites. However, I think the rest of the material isn't that great. Gangland is awful. I don't like The Prisoner.
You don't really?
So I don't like the first song, Invaders. I think it's pretty poor.
So that's your introduction to Bruce era Iron Maiden, and you don't like it, Invaders.
I like. I think it's only got 8 tracks.
It has only got 8 tracks.
Only about 3 of them I really like. I think it's really overrated, and I think Bruce's vocals are a little bit over the top because he's got something to prove. He's just come from Samson.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I've got to say about him. Production's good.
No, but, more than half of the songs are really, really, really good for me.
Hallowed Be Thy Name is fantastic.
And the fact that Hallowed Be Thy Name is on there drags it up higher for me, I think. But yeah, I mean, it is a marked difference between the first 2.
I think it's overrated. I really do think. I mean, that doesn't mean I don't like it.
A lot of people would have that at number 1.
I know, and it's not that I dislike
They'd be
it. It's
wrong.
a very good metal album, but we have to rank them, and that's where I rank
Well,
this.
we have to give our own opinions, and I like it slightly more than you do.
Yeah.
But I do agree with a lot of what you're saying.
Well,
Yeah.
well, that's really good, Tim.
It is. I think it's it's
Well, let's crack on.
all. I mean, these albums are all good, aren't they? They're
Yeah.
all really, really, really good. So
I just think
it's just.
if you actually analyse that Number of the Beast album, it's not a perfect album.
Jesus wept.
Okay, what's the so in at number 6?
Okay, so Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, the 7th album from '88.
So what have you given this?
So I give this 16 because
Okay.
it's the second best album for me.
All right. Well, this is where we're going to have an issue.
Yeah, and you've only given it 11, so it's come down a little bit further, I think.
It's a cool album cover.
So cool. I've definitely bought this.
It reminds me
on a
of
t-shirt when I was a kid.
who am I thinking? Asia, is it? Or this is a great album.
It is a great album.
Really good album. Moonchild.
Yep. Every single song on this album is really good.
Can I Play with Madness? The Evil That Men Do.
Yeah.
The title track. Yeah. The Prophecy was a bit.
So what's your what's your thinking behind having this lower than me?
It's purely down to taste. That's all. It's
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I listen to this a lot.
So the clairvoyant.
Yeah.
I love this.
I mean,
So good. This is. I'm quite shocked, really, that you would have it so low down.
it's not.
Because I think this
I
is,
wouldn't. I wouldn't say it's low down. I'd just say
Well, lower down.
that their
than-
top 6 or 7 albums are so good.
They are, and it's hard to rank them in an order. But when it comes to an album like this, which is pretty much perfect in every way for the Bruce Dickinson era stuff, anyway,
Bruce does shine on that.
he does, yeah. And it kind of they sort of brought in the guitar synths, didn't they?
Yeah.
A little bit in I think it's on the album before this.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really stick out as much on this.
Mm.
So it's not as in your face as it is in Somewhere in Time. So yeah, I love it. I really love it, and I can't believe
I love
you
it.
don't love it as much as me.
I love it. It just.
But you love some other ones more.
It ranks somewhere else. That's all. Okay, so the 5th best Iron Maiden album, Somewhere in Time.
Ah.
Difference of opinion here then.
Okay, so
You gave this 10. I gave this 17.
Well, you gave this your top Iron Maiden album.
It is my favourite Iron Maiden album.
So out of the top, the seven, the first seven, the best ones, this is the worst one for me. But that's not to say that I don't like it. I think it's a great album. I think that every other album they did around that time.
For you, is it more of a case that you don't like the synth sound?
I don't like synth. I love 80s music, but this guitar synth thing they brought in for this.
I love the artwork on this.
With the exception of what
Blade Runner, isn't it?
Wasted Years. It's one of the best album covers, yeah. Because Wasted Years doesn't really have it, does it? Wasted Years is sort of stands alone, and the rest of it.
I think it's one of the best singles. Wasted Years.
Brilliant.
What a chorus!
Yeah. It's chock full of great songs. Stranger in a Strange Land, obviously.
The one track I'm not so keen on is the Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner.
Oh, really? I quite like that.
And Alexander the Great, I love. But Bruce is again starting to sound like he's reciting a book.
It's a bit, it is a bit History 101, isn't it?
Yeah. And then he did this, and then he did this, and then he was, it's like. But the strength of the other song, I love it.
The Caught Somewhere in Time is brilliant.
Yeah.
But yeah, that middle section to Wasted Years, sort of through to Stranger in a Strange Land.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it all. But I can't believe that you think this is the best one. I think that's a bold claim to make.
Never used to be.
No?
Until
Is this only something that's come about with this re-listen for these, is it?
Yep.
So it may well be not come around then.
Son
if we do this again one day.
Yeah, well, to be honest, Seventh Son was my third favourite.
Yeah.
Up until a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And you're to blame for some of that.
Right.
Which we'll discuss.
When we get to... It's Peace of Mind. So this is your second favourite one then?
Yeah.
16 points. So I gave this 12.
Right.
So this is the fourth album from 1983, obviously produced by Martin Birch, as all of these albums from this era are. Again, this is a brilliant album.
For me, Peace of Mind is Bruce's first great album. I love that artwork as well.
I used to have like the little plastic mock-up of this album artwork, which I kept on my telly for donkey's years.
Oh, I've still got that somewhere. It was in the box somewhere.
Yeah, but it's very brittle and it used to fall to pieces touch. But yeah, it's such an iconic album.
It's got Flight of Icarus on it, which is possibly my favourite Maiden song.
Diary Beats On.
Yeah, Where Eagles Dare.
Trooper, obviously, which is probably the Iron Maiden song, isn't it? That's for me, if you're going to show someone an Iron Maiden song, it's probably going to be the Trooper, if they've never heard them before.
Yeah.
If you want a representation of how the band sang and what they do. And it's 4 minutes long, unlike some of these songs on the later stuff, which is 4 times as long.
To Tame a Land at the end is really good.
Yeah.
It finishes strong, this album. So Nicko McBrain, did he come in on Number of the Beast?
He's on Number of the Beast, isn't he? Yeah, yeah, that's right.
I would have loved to have heard what Clive Burr would have done for these albums, because he was a great drummer. Clive
he's
Burr.
Brilliant. Very underrated.
I still don't quite understand why they sacked him.
No, well, I think it's very much definitely at this stage very much a one-man operation, isn't it, Iron Maiden?
Right.
It's Steve Harris. So I'm guessing it's all down to him. But
so Nicko McBrain was the drum tech, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So
he's a great drummer.
Do you think he was whispering in Steve Harris's
So maybe
ear?
he was. Maybe he said, "Steve, do you want all your songs to sound faster and faster and faster as they go on?"
With the same drum beat.
Yeah.
I don't mean that, but there is a typical Nicko McBrain drum beat which gets a bit tiring sometimes.
Well, there's a typical Steve Harris bass line, isn't there, as well? So
yeah,
Iron Maiden do have that sound. I love it or loathe it kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah, so Peace of Mind was my second favourite.
Okay, so Powerslave and the first two. Yeah?
That's where we're at. So we're in the top 3.
We're in the
So
top
we're left with Powerslave, Iron Maiden, Killers.
What do you think?
It's gonna be number 3.
Yeah.
Powerslave.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised.
You're surprised, are you? So where does that rank for you?
So yeah, I think it's my 15. So my 3rd. Yeah, my 3rd. So yeah, originally I would have had Killers higher. Going through this again, I just love this, and
So this was your 3rd favourite, sorry?
this is my 3rd favourite. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah,
so Killers for me.
I always assumed you would put Killers ahead of this.
I would have done until I did this again and listened to.
Right,
For me, Killers would have gone in the top 2.
right,
I won't say which because I don't want to spoil it. But
okay.
yeah, yeah, this
It's a great album, that Powerslave.
it's so good, and it is. I definitely had this as a t-shirt as well. back in
Yeah,
the
I
day.
did actually.
I loved
But
all
much
the,
later than you.
Sort of the ancient Egyptian.
Yeah,
I was all
it's
into
cool.
that when I was a
Yeah,
kid.
it's cool.
Massively into
Every
mummies
kid
and
was into
things,
that
and
kind of stuff.
yeah, and this was right up my street. So yeah, every single song again on this, it's wonderful. So yeah, so Powerslave, my 3rd. So where was it for you?
My 4th favourite. Yeah, what can you say? Ace is High, 2 Minutes to Midnight, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, The Duelists. I forgot how much I love that song.
Yeah, brilliant.
The
Love
only
the song.
things I wasn't too keen on the instrumental Lost for Words.
All right.
Back in the Village was great, still life. But we're splitting hairs
So
here.
Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, that's them doing a long song that they do
Yeah,
really well.
yeah.
Really, really well. Yeah, I love it. It's
I just think the second half is weaker than the first half.
yeah.
Just, still great. But the first half is amazing. So it's a consistently strong album. This is great artwork, really well produced. Martin Birch does a brilliant job on the production on this. So I'm assuming this is Killers.
I would have thought so.
So in at number 2 is Killers from 1981. I gave this 15. You gave this 14. Now, interestingly, I mentioned it earlier briefly, but it's down to you that I've changed my mind quite a little bit because you've always been very strong on the Diana albums. And I've got to admit, for many years, I really didn't give them much of a chance because it was, I was kind of
Everyone
sold
thinks
on
Iron
Dickinson,
Maiden, Yeah, yeah.
However, when you go back and listen to these first 2 albums, there's something they've captured of a band who are in full flight, with full vigour, so much energy, so many ideas, and just so good. They're so tight. And it's got to be said,
That's the album artwork, isn't it?
it's the best they've ever done.
That's Eddie in his
Yeah.
full pomp, right there.
Is it Riggs, the guy who does the
Yeah,
artwork? Yeah, that's his best thing. Diano's voice is incredible on this album. I don't think he gets the recognition he deserves, really. Everyone says, yeah, his voice is more punky. No, it's like, you listen to his stuff, he can hit some notes. Some real...
Yeah, maybe more so on the first album, but yeah, he's a proper heavy metal singer.
He's a great singer.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's got more of a kind of... bit more of a kind of raw... You could say there's some punk in there. But that guy can sing. He's got pipes.
Yeah.
And he's got a style about him. It's not to say I don't like Dickinson. I love Dickinson. But, I mean, look, you've got the Ides of March. Is that how it's pronounced?
It's like the intro-y kind of
Yeah.
bit, isn't it?
Then Wrathchild. Which is just Murders in the Rue Morgue, Innocent Exile. It's all real punchy, great vocals. Prodigal Son, which feels a bit more proggy.
Yeah. Well, that's the longest one on there. It's, 6 minutes.
Can I just check the track listing on this one? Yeah, so this doesn't have the women in uniform, which was on the American version.
Yeah.
Which I don't like.
No.
Which is good. so
it was never on there.
So
British version.
American viewers who have got women in uniform, that's not on this album, and I refuse to ever accept that it is on the album. Drifter is the one thing that's a bit forgettable for me. But
yeah, as Diano drifted away from the band
the first
with that song.
Yeah, the first album produced by Martin Birch.
Yeah.
And obviously
then he produced every other one.
He was tailor-made
in the 80s.
Tailor-made for this band. And obviously he had a history before this band. Obviously, was it Deep Purple and stuff like that?
Yeah, he's a renowned rock producer, isn't he?
An amazing producer.
And the perfect fit for them as well.
Why they got rid of Diano, I'm still not sure.
Yeah, it's in the same respect why they changed drummer around this time as well. It's
Clive Burr's drumming is just rest in peace, Clive Burr. By the way, yeah, what a great drummer.
Yeah,
what a great band.
Yeah, they were brilliant, and this was their peak for me as a band on here. I prefer the first album, but yeah, this is where the band kind of peaked, and then the Bruce Dickinson stuff is obviously amazing, but for me it doesn't quite reach that level of these first two albums.
Well, yeah, like I said, Somewhere in Time is my favourite Maiden album.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think this is my favourite lineup. Yeah. I know it sounds weird.
It's weird. It's hard. I mean, for me, Killers. I thought this was going to be easy. These the top two. It's going to be the first one and the second one, and then listening to the whole discography again, Powerslave and Seventh Son crept in above Killers for me, which has dragged it down a little bit.
Okay, well,
so obviously this one.
Going on to number one then.
Is
it my turn? Sorry, is it?
I think it's mine actually.
Yours, yeah. I'll
let me do the honours. This is the best Iron Maiden album because it is the best Iron Maiden album. It's Iron Maiden by Iron Maiden. How many points did you get it? 13. Well. So is this less than Killers? What did you give Killers?
Yeah, Killers was my third favourite.
So what's this? Where is this rank for you?
This is my fifth.
Fifth
favourite. But again, we're talking about splitting hairs.
Yeah, well, of course, yeah.
Now,
you get 30 points though in total.
I mean, this album's always been. I remember watching that early days documentary that came on. What did it come with? Was it with a DVD? Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. They did a set of them, didn't they? Yeah. I bought them on DVD.
And Steve Harris and some of the others were really critical
they
about
don't like the sound of this album at all.
The way it was produced by Will Malone. It's great. It sounds brilliant.
Yeah. It's got so much energy.
I don't know what they're listening to, but this sounds...
I think they're annoyed because they pretty much had to do a lot of it themselves, from what they said.
Right.
That they were kind of left to their own devices.
But the actual capture... Yeah, but the thing is, they
captured that energy of that band at that moment.
Because they were such a well-oiled machine. You could tell they were gigging all the time. And these songs were so well rehearsed, they knew them, that all the producer really had to do was press record and have the mics in the right place. But it sounds great. It's got a real punchy feel about it. I mean, it's right from the off. Prowler, Running Free. Remember Tomorrow, the vocal on that is beautiful by Diano.
Yeah, it's Diano's finest hour, I think.
What a vocal!
Unchain the colours before my eyes. Yesterday's sorrows, tomorrow's white lies. Scan the horizon. Clouds take me higher. I shall return from out
I mean, Phantom of the Opera, Charlotte the Harlot.
Phantom of the Opera is my
Transylvania.
favourite Iron Maiden song.
There isn't actually a bad song on here.
No, there isn't. That's what my notes basically just said. I started writing down some of the songs I liked, and then I just wrote, no, all of it, every single.
Which really, it should be higher on my ranking.
Probably should be.
But it's just a matter of personal kind of. I don't know.
Okay. I guess you could say that Killers has a more modern sounding production. But there is in no way is this a negative sounding production.
I thought the music they expanded a little bit on the music in Killers. They went a few more different directions. But I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because the last video we did was Meatloaf.
Yep.
And we agreed that his debut was the best thing he ever did.
Yep.
And so you've got another instance of a band never surpassing their debut. You know, but collectively we've come to that.
But would Iron Maiden be? I mean, with Meatloaf, he would have been held in high regard, wouldn't he? Regardless of if he just done that first album. With Iron Maiden, I don't think that would be the case.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? So you can say thanks to Bruce Dickinson for taking them to that next level, and obviously he could probably do things live that Di'Anno probably would struggle to do night after night. Yeah. With the lifestyle he was leading, that probably is a lot to do with. Yeah,
I think that's the reason why they got rid of him, wasn't it? Because of the lifestyle choices he was making at the time with recreational drugs and things. But for me, he's the greatest Iron Maiden singer, and should he have been? Yeah, he probably should have. He probably should have gone when he did. Yeah, I'd rather he didn't. I would love to have heard a Number of the Beast with him singing on it. I think that would be remarkable.
Or it could be awful.
I don't think it'd be awful. I really don't think it'd be awful. If they could have kept him, clean and sober throughout the 80s, and they kept the same path, they wrote the same songs, the same style. I know, but we're talking,
fantasy kind of.
How do you think it would have gone? That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me,
Hallowed Be Thy Name would be interesting.
It would, yeah. Like he could pull that off. His vocals on stuff like Remember Tomorrow kind of show that he could do those.
Maybe they knew something we don't. Maybe there's something going on.
Maybe. But yeah, for me, the best one. It's got the best instrumental on it as well. Transylvania. That's the best instrumental they ever did. Without shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
But yeah, my favourite song, Phantom of the Opera. Everything about it, apart from the artwork, isn't quite as good as.
Oh, I love the artwork.
But it's still great.
Oh, it's great. I love that artwork.
Yeah. It's Iron Maiden. That's Iron Maiden.
Well, we've done Iron Maiden.
Covered off. That's great.
That was a slog.
Yeah.
But
the rewards of those early albums is far outweigh the slog of some of that later stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, even some of that surprised us, didn't it?
Oh, it did. Yeah, it did. Especially the sort of mid-2000s period stuff. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so that's that covered off. Who should we do next? I think it's your turn, isn't it?
Yeah. So. We've got a choice of two we can do next. Would you like to do Roxy Music or Kate Bush?
No, I think Kate Bush would be a nice easy one because obviously we've probably listened to a lot of Kate Bush recently. Obviously the Thunderhoof cover we did recently as well. But Roxy Music, I've got a feeling I would really like Roxy Music. I've never really listened to them that much.
I haven't listened to their. I have heard some of their.
Yeah,
albums.
obviously I know the singles, and I know some of Brian Ferry's solo stuff, but I don't really know. I've never listened to an album all the way
they're a band that's highly regarded amongst musicians. So
that kind of art pop kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think we should let's do them both. Let's do them both because Roxy Music's only half a dozen albums, isn't it? So let's plan out the next two right now.
Okay, Roxy Music.
Roxy Music.
Probably in this order. Roxy Music, then we'll do Kate Bush.
Yeah. Let's do them both because I love Kate Bush. That's going to be hard because all the albums are good.
Yeah.
But Roxy Music is a bit of an unknown. I've got a feeling that it's a band I'm going to like. So let's see where it all lies.
Also interested to hear if you've got any ideas for who we should listen to.
Yeah, we're willing to listen to suggestions as well.
And anything as well. We're not. It's not all about hard rock or anything.
There's a couple of things we won't touch.
We won't do the Beatles.
And we won't do U2 because fuck U2.
I don't want to do the Stones either. I love the Stones, but it's too much.
Yeah, the Stones. Yeah,
it's too much.
Yeah.
I mean, if we were to do the Stones, I'd probably say, can we do like the first?
Yeah, I wouldn't. It's too much. Yeah, I wouldn't want to do the Stones.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you can make a case for us doing the Stones, by all means, put it in the comments below, and we'll.
Tim's on a Sparks kick at the moment.
So Sparks will be coming up at some point.
Well, so he's obsessed with the Sparks. I like the Sparks. However, how many albums?
25 or 26 if you include the one with Franz
No,
Ferdinand.
Would you include that?
You would, yeah, you'd have to, because it's Ace.
Do you like? Oh, you like it, do you?
Yeah.
Do you like Franz Ferdinand?
Not at all. That's what's weird about it.
He wants to do Sparks at some point.
So that'll be done. I think that'll be done in the summer at some point, because
well, look,
I need to give you time to catch up.
When am I going to find the time? I've got 2 kids. I've got a studio to run.
Well, when you sit down here doing,
doing, you know,
very little sometimes. You
that's a lie. That's an absolute lie. We're running the label as well. Yeah, that'll be one in the future. But if you've got any suggestions for other artists, maybe with not so ridiculous catalogues like Sparks, maybe someone with like 12, 13, 14
Yeah, I think
albums.
Iron Maiden was 17, and it was a little bit of a drag because some of the lengths of those albums at the end were so long. So
if you've seen other ones we've done, we did David Bowie and Alice Cooper.
And those were hard work because they were 25, 26.
That was a lot of work to try and listen to all.
Yeah.
And obviously, when you listen to them, you don't want to just kind of put them on and have them on in the background while you're making a cup of tea. You know.
You need to sit, with Sparks. You'll need to sit down with the lyrics as well to get the most out of it, because it's just the lyrics is what makes the songs, as it were, because they're so sort of witty and.
Well, it's similar
involved.
with Alice Cooper for us.
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
You had a lot to go through for that. I mean, that was easy for me because I was so familiar.
Well, in that case, we'll have to do Sparks because it'll be easy for me now, because I know it all inside and out.
Well, that'll be later in the year.
Yeah, later in the year we'll cover them. But
All right.
We'll aim to do that towards the end. Let's do Roxy Music next, and we'll cover off Kate Bush as well. And then great. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Bye.